Hello, welcome to Eat Art Space. We're the pop-up gallery from a dining room in Appalachia, and I'm your host, Jocelyn Mathewes. We are based in East Tennessee, and that tiny little sliver where you're almost all the way up into North Carolina. And we've been doing artist talks and shows since the beginning of the pandemic, well, maybe a few months into the pandemic. And I'm very excited to have one of our two artists with us for this particular exhibit. Anna Whitted will be joining us in a couple of minutes to talk about her work. And I actually see Bonnie Kelly, the other artist, who is in the chat right now. But I'm hoping that we will have some questions from the audience about this amazing work and that we can find out a little bit more about Anna as we go through. So a little bit more about the gallery. This project, this is run in a private home in Johnson City. This is my home. I'm Jocelyn Mathewes. And during the very beginning of the pandemic, I was very sad and frustrated that all of my artist friends, including myself, had lost the opportunity to exhibit in different places. And through the magical power of the internet and some white paint on my dining room walls, I started getting friends of mine to drop off work and hang them on the walls, and we got on social media live and enjoyed having conversations with each other and connecting during a really challenging time. So I'll take a little tour around the gallery that we have now. I've recently expanded into the second room of the house, and a few weeks ago we had an artist exhibit that was just really enjoyable and wonderful with a bunch of food and fun and friends. So it looks like Anna has entered into the chat, and so I'm going to try and invite her up onto the stage here. I'm very excited to have her. So let's see here. The button, and hopefully Anna can join us from her studio or from wherever she's comfortable. Hey!
Hi!
It's good to see you. How are you doing?
Good to see you. I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm tucked away in my little corner of my house where Taurus is living.
Ah.
Yes.
Well, I'll be excited to have you show us that painting in a few minutes. So Anna, I was introducing the gallery before you hopped on and just the concept and the origin of this little project that I have going on in my dining room.
Yeah.
And I would love to have you say a few words about who you are, your story, and especially how you entered back into this particular region and situated yourself from your humble beginnings.
Sure, yeah. So for those who don't know, I grew up on a sheep farm in Berks Garden. So it's like technically in Tazewell County, but it's about 20 minutes away from Tazewell.
And that's in Virginia.
Yes, in Virginia, sorry.
Okay.
So I grew up on a sheep farm, and it's the highest valley in Virginia. So you're literally surrounded by a bowl of mountains. And so from an early age, I was really inspired by nature and inspired by, when you have roots like that, you can't help but go back to them because it's just so stunning and it's so quiet, such a quiet part of the world. And I was just given all of the time in the world to explore outside and become acquainted with farm life and the realities of farm life pretty early on. So taking that with me to school, I was I felt isolated at the time. I really just wanted to be in a city. If you ask my mom, she would say, she would just ask if she could go and watch cars go by in a city. Like that's how much I wanted to be around people. So I can't say I fully appreciated where I grew up at the time, but when I did go to a city, when I went to school at VCU in Richmond, also Virginia, I was all of a sudden just on flat land with so much noise and so much pollution, and the natural spaces were subpar, in my opinion. I grew up in a gold mine, and then I go, and then you know how it is. When you grow up in a setting like that, you have really high standards. So after about a year or two, I was ready to come home. I was ready to be surrounded by the mountains again. And be inspired again and come back to what I loved. I developed a really big appreciation for it. And so the pandemic quite literally sent me back home. I packed a week's worth of clothing um, for spring break, and then I stayed for like 3 months. So I was
That's pretty intense.
it was wild. I was just happy to be home. I was very happy to have uh, kind of a weight lifted off of me. I felt like because all of a sudden, like most of my classes were rendered like useless. Not useless, but like we couldn't do what we were supposed to do in those classes, like animation. We needed the studios for animation. For like, using, you took like a animation film class and like a mixed media class, and like all of that required time in the studio. And now all of us were like home
So
where we
what were you studying at school in Richmond then specifically? Did you already have a particular direction for your studies?
Yes, so I went to school for kinetic imaging, which is technically a combination of animation, video, sound, and extended media. So very digital. I was so ready to explore all these ideas for video collages and for, mixed media animations, and I was just yearning to explore. So when I did that, I like got my wiggles out in a way, and then I became really interested in climate change and environmental issues. And so at the time, it was kind of too late for me to switch majors, but I did want to still do art, but also I was hit with a lot of like climate anxiety, basically eco anxiety. I started doing like a zero waste thing where I would buy all of my food in mason jars and in bulk, and I would, take a mason jar and like a little like 10 like lunchbox everywhere. I just had a lot of anxiety, especially being in the city where there's so much waste going on already. So I was trying to incorporate that into my major, and I ended up getting a certification in sustainable innovation through the environmental school. So I did like scratch an itch per se with learning about the environment and learning how climate change works and how what is causing it and all of the factors that go into it. And
So
so
going full circle back to how you came home after this animation thing.
yeah,
Did that certification happen prior to or after your pandemic arrival home?
yeah, so I was taking like one last class for that certification, and ironically it was an outdoor programs class, and like everything in existence was canceled when the pandemic happened. So like we were supposed to like plan an outdoor program and then actually like host it, and that was just out the window. So it was all very ironic. So we were doing the best we could, and we just wrote a hypothetical outdoor program we would do, and then that was finished. But it was my last semester um, when the pandemic happened. So I was kind of getting all of the like straggler classes done.
Okay.
um, but yeah, I was taking animation two. Maybe actually it was animation three. I was taking animation three. I was taking a mixed media class through the film school, and or the film department, and I was taking that outdoor class, and then I think maybe one other class. I can't remember, but basically I was set free from all standards. Like I
So you
was
came home after this, after trying, you wanted to study this particular digital art form, and then the pandemic happened and it kind of like shattered your access to that particular medium.
yeah,
And then what?
I was pretty burnt out by then anyway, so it was like a blessing in disguise. um, I finished my like capstone the year before, so I did like the year long uh study. I studied like paper and material and like making my own paper, and then I made an animation. Or no, I made a really strange sculpture made of trash that was weird. I was so burnt out that I was saving all of my trash, like even like a little bit of embroidery floss I would cut off of a project. I would save it because I didn't want to throw it away because I didn't want to go to landfill. So like seriously, some eco anxiety, and that made a pretty not great senior project. So I got that done, but a lot of my friends unfortunately couldn't finish their senior projects because of that. So while it was a blessing for me, it really messed up a lot of other people's
Hmm.
journey, and
Well,
like they
so
weren't
how did
able to finish.
let's draw this into this particular series, which I know originated from the next phase of your creative work after that.
Yes.
So
So
talk a little bit about your interest and the way that these paintings came about. And while you're talking about that, I'm going to scoot the camera around. You don't have to talk about a specific painting,
okay.
but
Sure.
I know that you can rearrange the chronology however you want.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, so basically I before the pandemic happened, I had um done a couple of paintings in this style. It's kind of what birthed this whole style. So I was really interested in abstract work, and my friends and I just wanted to paint. So my friend Allison and I just painted together on a canvas, and it made just something. We just got so honed into it, and so after that, like I wanted to try that style on my own. And it's really just like a free painting, like no boundaries, or like, you're not trying to create something in particular. You're just creating like texture and mood, and like putting pigment on a canvas to create kind of like a something you can step into. So I was missing home, so I chose like green and yellow and like gold, um, tree colors, earth colors to explore with. And so I made Canopy, which is has been bought by a couple of friends of mine. And then after that, I was like, this is really freeing. This is so fun. I don't feel like trapped in a practice. I feel like I can kind of express how much I miss home and how much I feel for my home through this medium and through this texture. So when I did come home from the pandemic, my dad helped me build a canvas frame, and then I stretched a 4 by 5 foot canvas. And my sister and I did a collaborative painting. I was really wanting to get out of the boundaries of choosing like another artist to paint with. I loved it was so freeing that I felt like, well, anybody can do this. Anybody can experience this feeling. And so my sister definitely wouldn't consider herself an artist, but it was cool to collaborate with her because I saw you know, how she put paint on a canvas and how I put paint on a canvas, and we merged the two together in the middle. That created this large, um, very like oceanic, earthy painting. And after that, I just kept going. I knew that this was something that I felt so connected to, and something that connected me with my roots. And I started to really incorporate like, how does Appalachia feel to me, and how does it how do I want other people to feel when they see these paintings, because Appalachia really has a stigma. And whenever you think of Appalachian art, there's lots of it's kind of shadowed by folk art and traditional like craft, which is awesome, but there is a lot more to show. And expressing Appalachia through abstraction, I think, is it. And size, like the large size, really says like, look at me, like this is important, this is something
Yeah, I'm going
true.
to try to stand next to this thing so you can see how tall it is.
She is
It's
large,
very tall. Hang on, here we
very
go.
tall.
Far
Yeah.
away. It's very tall. Almost to the ceiling there.
Oh my goodness. I think
Do you have, there's a question from the audience about that painting that you mentioned, and so I'm going to interrupt and ask. Is
yeah.
there a photograph somewhere of that canvas that you collaborated with with your sister? Is that on your website?
It is on my website,
Okay.
under the portfolio tab. I also have it on my Instagram if you scroll down a little bit, but it's easier to find on my website. It's called Multidimensional Blue, and it is owned by my mother because she loved it so much that I gave it to her for her birthday. So um, I would like to make prints of that again. I had prints of it at one point, but they weren't quite the quality I wanted. So I would like to come back to like original, the originals that got everything started and provide a print option for that. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, so talk a little bit about, um, I mean, you had this interest in sustainability and in the world, and how do you feel that this work intersects with those interests? Are they still alive in this work for you? And in what ways do you see that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. At first, I was a little stressed about the paints I was using that weren't exactly, eco-friendly. I use oil paints still, and I had been using, toxic paint thinner and all sorts of stuff, but I didn't. I wanted to kind of relieve myself of that eco anxiety and not put so much pressure on myself to make every single work a sustainable piece, so to speak. Like I don't want to limit myself um, in those and like in that those boundaries. If something is really important to me, like pigmentation, then I'm gonna include that. But as of recently, I have been slowly guiding myself towards more eco-friendly materials. And that painting actually behind you, I have earth paints in there from Spot of Color. And I give me just 1 second. Actually, I have like a social media timer on my phone, and I need to like turn
Ah,
it off really quick. Give me one
that's
second.
totally fine. I don't know if you'll be able to. Let's see if we can get you to turn it back off again.
Let
And
me
then
see.
we'll resume the conversation about earth paints. And I
Awesome.
think,
Yes.
yeah, not a problem. We have Anna Whitted with us today. This is her painting behind us. Hopefully, she'll join us back in a little second. Like all people on social media, I'm sure that um, she also struggles with maybe using a little bit too much. I know that I do.
Okay, I
I had
think
to
we're.
turn off my timer in order to do this too. So
Oh my God.
it's
I
really
totally
funny that
think
you
about
mentioned
it.
that.
Yeah, it's helpful sometimes, but
Yeah,
I
and then when
put
you
so much
forget
on it
about
to
it, when you
yeah,
need it, you're like, oh,
ignore all day. Yeah, all the
yeah,
time.
yeah. So
But
this
anyway,
painting
yeah.
over here is the one that you have earth paints, and at least you noted that as
Yes,
well.
I have the gold bits are earth paints. And I try to like incorporate more sustainability with like my dad helping me build the canvases. I feel like I do use like the mass produced like Michael's canvases, but I want to get to a point where I'm building them myself and just having all of them built by hand and stretched by hand. And um, so I recently, actually yesterday, painted Gemini in my Zodiac series, and about 50% of it was earth paints. I was really pleased with the pigmentation and the texture. Like it was, I've been exploring more with it, and I would be, I would like to start to like totally alternate. I won't ever probably completely not have oil paints just because of the color range, but I do really enjoy it. And I switched over to an eco-friendly solvent and like paint thinner recently. So it's like small changes like that that are making the process a sustainable journey for me rather than like cutting off like art materials because they're not eco-friendly. And you can go down a huge rabbit hole with that too. Like, is wood eco-friendly because of deforestation, or is blah 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 blah. You can really,
But you're still
yeah,
trying to take steps to incorporate that.
yes,
Um,
exactly.
I know that I had a question that was submitted earlier. If you wouldn't mind answering this, I had posted a photograph of the flowers that you brought to the reception along with
Yes.
your painting, and somebody asked, are there paintings that you have that are specifically inspired by your flower farm work or of any flower specifically? Like, do you feel drawn to one of those and have you been inspired to paint about that?
Yeah, so no, I haven't.
That's
um,
fine. It was just
which
a
is
question.
like might boggle some people's minds. Don't get me wrong, like the formation of flowers and the like structure of flowers is something that like I'll just always admire and really treasure. But I don't really when I'm painting I'm not really thinking about flowers. I see flowers and the flowers I grow right now as like a separate art form. And I love the texture of them and I love the like arrangements that I can make with them. But I have like actually this week, ever since I've been in Lamb Fine Arts Studio, I've been really focusing on like my practice and how I can incorporate more of what I want to do in my practice. And something that's really I feel like after I finish my Zodiac series is like the next step in exploration is growing my own plants for dyes and paints. I would love to explore with that. And there's already some flowers in my garden that I could use right now to like explore with that. So I might over the next 3 weeks while I'm in her studio just like explore and like because I don't know what I'm doing. Like I would love to just see how I can make this thing that grew out of the ground into a paint and then put it on because then it would create I feel like create a even closer relationship with both practices, like create kind of a bridge. But
I can hear the excitement in your voice when you're talking about that. And I also want to take a moment. You mentioned that you've taken over Lamb Fine Art Studio. Tell us who Lamb Fine Art is and tell us where it is and how long you're taking over that studio space for.
yes, okay, so Lamb Fine Art is Laura Blankenship in Abingdon, Virginia. She
Let me
has
see if
her
I can link it.
yes, if you can link it, that would be awesome. She's currently hiking the Appalachian Trail for 3 weeks. So I and my partner's sister are co-renting the space together. And she paints like live at like different like music events. She paints the band and like does live painting all there, and it's really awesome. And she has an incredible energy that I can already feel in just like being in her studio. She has this space where you can just come in and like just focus on being creative, like whatever you need to do. And so yeah, I'm gonna be in her space. I've already started starting this past Sunday, so the 26th. I'll be in her space until July 17th. And she's been doing open studio hours on every Sunday, like from probably since like March until now that she's going to be gone. And the Gold and Green Awakening, that painting I did at one of her live open studios. So it was like my first live painting, and I was really nervous, but it kind of just all worked out. And I really felt energetic in that space. So I'm going to be continuing her open studio hours for the next few Sundays. So I already have like activities planned and everything. There's a collaborative painting already started. There's a collaborative collage already started. I have live music planned for 3 out of the 4 Sundays. So
So this
um,
is Sundays through July 17th, you said. And for those who don't know, it's actually at the William King Museum of Art in Abingdon, Virginia. So if you are in the Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee, it's
sure.
really accessible.
Very. And the studios they have there are just so cool. The art lab in next to William King, it's like attached. Um, it's so there's so many cool tools there. Like there is a print lab, there's a digital lab where you can take classes. There's art camp for kids, which I volunteered for back in high school. There's Laura's studio, there's Lavelle Manufacturing that does like sewing classes. There's just so much cool stuff, so many cool resources for artists. And it opened during the pandemic. So it was kind of like overshadowed by, you know, the world and everything happening, but it's a really cool resource, and
Yeah.
I get my print printed there so that it's like, you know, supporting the local art scene, and like the prints are so high quality, it's crazy. So definitely, if even if you don't come to the open studios, use their resources because it's so cool that Abingdon has this now.
It's a good regional artist resource because I know that there are tiny towns around that particular area where there's nothing else like it in a
Yeah,
large circumference. So
exactly. It's really what I wanted in high school, and now
now it's there.
it's here. Now
Now
it's
that you're
here.
through, right?
Right, exactly. But yeah, come out to the open studios, and I don't know if Laura's keep the open studio hours. I don't know what her plans are for when she gets back, but it's gonna be really fun. I'm planning a plant swap next weekend. There's gonna be like a yoga meditation guide for like 20 to 30-minute yoga, and then you can just come and chill and paint and zone out if you want. Really, it's whatever you want to do. I just want people to come out and all be in the same
And
space.
if for folks who want to maybe attend, they can go to the link in your bio or to
Yeah,
your website and find all of that.
yeah.
And
All
if
information's on my website.
Abingdon is too far for you, I'm going to plug the open house that we're having here in the dining room gallery so folks can drop by and get some refreshments and just, you know, browse around and see the
Yes.
paintings and say hello.
Yeah.
So that's happening on July 21st. So if you miss Anna and in Abingdon, you can find her work down here in Johnson City. So,
Yes. There you go.
and we do enjoy having people drop by, even just for a few minutes. So you don't have to like commit to staying for a long time if you just want to poke your head in and say hello.
Yeah, whatever you
Um,
want to do.
yeah, and of course, Bonnie Kelly's work is here too, as well. Do you want to talk about? Um, I know that you wanted to mention that all of these paintings are available for prints. Even though,
Yes.
I mean, I think that they are astonishing physical presences.
Yeah,
I will say
there
that.
are. I appreciate you. Yes, there are 4 out of the 5 paintings that are available for prints. The only one I couldn't make a print is it's like 2 by 5 feet long, and it's just like a strange size. So I
Yeah,
bothered.
this is the one that somebody needs to take and put. See, I've got it hanging in this little skinny space, and it's a really nice,
I love it.
peaceful little corner. So, all of these works by both Anna and her cohort Bonnie, who is also exhibiting. You can purchase them through the eatart.space website, or if you're interested in prints, you can go to Anna's website. She's doing a pre-order print run for many of these works. And if you would like to come by in person, like, look, that I mean, that couch is right there for you to lounge on. So, um, folks can come and see these by appointment, and then, you know, if you decide that you want this paint over your couch instead, you can take it home. So,
You go. It's as easy
yeah.
as that.
Yeah, you can take any of these can be yours. And Anna's work, I mean, like, you definitely want to touch it. Like, you definitely
I love
do.
it.
You definitely do. Well, so I do want to open up things up to the audience. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. And Anna, do you want to tell us anything else about what you've got going on for the next couple of months?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, what I have for the next really 3 weeks is trying to get my Zodiac series finished before I'm out of Laura's studio, which seems kind of like a daunting task, but honestly, I feel so
Well, how
energetic.
many more have you really got?
Well, um, like five or
Okay.
six. So it's really not that bad, and I paint really fast. So I did a thing where I like kind of planned out, like I wrote all of the like different qualities for each zodiac, and like all of the color associations, and you know, texture, and you know, all sorts of information about each one, so that I kind of have a plan and like a blueprint for all of them, and I can just go. So I'm really gonna just focus on painting, and not so much on promoting right now, just because I've been having hiccups where I'm like, oh, I finished this painting and now I need to take photos of it and now I need to promote it and now I need to get prints of it and now I need to la 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 la. So it's too
But you've
much
got this
time.
compressed time. So if people want to
Yeah,
see you painting, they need to come to Laura's
exactly.
studio for right now.
Yes, if you want to
Now is
see
the
it all
time.
in, if you want to see it all in action, then
Okay.
come to the studio. I this past open studio, I just painted alongside other friends on the community painting and the collage. I did collage, so that was nice because I was able to just do, crafting and stuff.
We
But
have a question from the audience. I don't know if you can
yes,
see. We have any advice on finding slash maintaining inspiration and motivation?
sure. So, I was, in a unique situation where I was literally not having to be in the environment where I was so burnt out in and brought home. And that revived my inspiration. But honestly, like doing things that you love and like practicing self care really does help nurture motivation and inspiration. I will say motivation is fleeting and I wouldn't rely on it. Like sometimes when you don't feel like doing the thing, you have to start doing the thing and then the motivation and inspiration will come. So the hardest part is starting. And
Mm.
it's okay if that, like, you know, initially isn't what you want to do, but then like, or like how you want it to look, but it will come. Just like be kind to yourself and just get started. And
What
then
are
I think,
some of the things that you do that you do to recharge and bring back energy to finding and maintaining?
well, I really love spending time in my garden and growing plants and, uh, eating all the plants out of our garden. That really brings me back. But I also love like either going out into nature and remembering why I do it, what I do. That's a huge thing. Um, or just like going on a hike or on a walk, something mindful, where I'm not, because I'm always thinking about all the things I need to do, like 24/7. It never stops. So by doing something mindful, it helps me come back to the moment and not stress so much about like checking things off a list because that's not really what this journey is about. It's about creating and experiencing and painting for the sake of painting and not so much for others. It's always going to be for me at the end of the day. So, yeah, so mindfulness is really important. Journaling is huge. Journaling is really big for me. Just like getting all of it out and then all of a sudden you feel this calmness and you're like, I can think about other things now. I can, refocus myself now. So, yeah.
Those are some really useful things. I know that those practices might look different for different artists, and so I always like to ask what the specifics are if they're open to sharing. If we have any other final things to say, people you want to give some shout outs to in the community that you haven't
Yeah.
mentioned already, inspirations and some love before we decide to exit, and any last minute questions can be popped down in the chat too.
Yeah. Thank you to my mom for holding all of my paintings for like literally a year before I moved into my own place. Thank you to my partner for always being down to haul my paintings to crazy places in nature and like, you know, finagling like a shot out in the woods or, in a lake or whatever. Like there's no limit. And he's always taking photos for me, which is really nice. So thank you to him and thank you to Lamb Fine Art for reaching out to me about renting your studio. It is the blessing
Yay.
I didn't know I needed. I didn't know how badly I needed it. And I'm so excited and I will use your space wisely. Thank you to my dad for always building my canvas frames when you can. They're very sturdy and exact measurements. Measure twice, cut once. Um, and yeah, thank you to all my friends for always being down to come out and paint or just support me and my work. And I have a really cool community here. I didn't know what to expect when I came back home. The plan was to always come back home, and I was just going to figure it out then. But then I came home early and wanted to find a community. And thank you to Jocelyn for, reaching out to me and opening your home to my work and working so hard to support local artists. And yeah, it's a really cool community we have here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I look forward to, I sent an open invitation to everybody who's watching to send a little message and schedule an appointment to come by, or to just, show up on the open house date, which is on the 21st of July, I believe. I know I've created a Facebook event for that particular event, and I also have it listed on our website. So it's a private residence, so I will send you directions to get to my house. And yeah, don't feel weird about knocking on someone's door, because I probably will know you're coming.
There you go.
But yeah, come see these works in person and get some refreshments and things.
Yeah, a couple last minute things before I
Yes.
forget, because this is the perfect promotional opportunity. I will have prints of my Zodiac series very soon. I know that I've been posting about it and saying, I will have prints soon, but right now I'm painting, and then I'm gonna have all of the printmaking and all of the quality come later, because I'll be doing the Bristol and Bloom Art Festival in October.
Woo-hoo!
It's October 7th, I think. So excited for that. It's
that weekend.
Yeah, that weekend, the Saturday. So my goal is to have prints of everything by then, which is ambitious.
All right.
I think I can do it. And then I've talked to Brian about it. I think it's still in the works, but I've talked to him about doing the December Nocturnal Arts Market, which I don't think he's set an exact date for, or like made a poster for, but that's in the works too. So if you want to get some Christmas shopping done.
For those who don't know, Brian is Brian Surway, who he was actually one of the artists who came through the gallery first early in the pandemic. So if you want to go way back, you can look at our past exhibits and see some of that stuff. But yeah, that'll be really exciting. So
this thing, there he is. Post.
Yay.
Yeah. So yeah, just hold tight.
Hold tight, because there's more good stuff coming.
Exactly.
And in a couple of weeks, we will have, we'll be doing this same kind of artist talk with Bonnie Kelly, who is your co-exhibitor. And just like you, she has a keen interest in the natural world and has deep roots here in Appalachia, and just absolutely has a keen attention and observation and intuition that she's cultivated in her artistic practice. So we will be talking with her in a couple of weeks. So, I know that I've got that live thing scheduled, so you can be reminded. And with that, Anna, this has been so lovely to talk with you a little bit more extensively about your work and just one-on-one. And so thank you for making time today. Really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it so much. And thank you, everybody, for your questions.
Yes, thank you to everybody for watching, and really appreciate you. And I hope to see you again, if not in person.
Yes, soon.
All right, Anna, I hope to make it up to those open studios real soon. So maybe I'll high five you there. So
that would be great.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. We'll talk later. Bye for now.
Bye for now.